My friends, we gear up for Champions League duties returning back to Stamford Bridge, and this time we come up against a familiar face in our former manager and Jose Mourinho. Now, my opinion, there's been much discussion and talk about the reception Mourinho is going to get, but I could have sworn that we've seen him come back as he managed Inter Milan, Tottenham, and also Manchester United. So I think he's a pretty familiar figure with the fan base. And all I'm going to say is, listen, over my years, I have heard a few F off Mourinho chants when results, of course, haven't gone our way. So Chelsea fans, irrespective of what you've done for us, we put the club first and we put wins first over everyone. And that's something that I like. But I think after all the recent games we've been playing, the form's been going down. Mistakes are creeping in our game. And that's been the most disappointing thing, how we're beating ourselves. We're beating ourselves. Self-inflicted mistakes after self-inflicted mistakes. It's why Pedro Neto and a lot of the players have felt and said in post-match duties that they're a bit disappointed in themselves because it's not as if they're getting outplayed. It's not as if teams are coming for them and are too much for us to handle. So we need to see some improvements in this aspect. I think Maresca can do a bit more, but ultimately there's only so much you can do, and you can't count on players making mistakes to disrupt and ruin the entire game plan. Tomorrow, we're going to have a tough test against Benfica, a Jose Mourinho Benfica team. And we know Jose loves to set his teams up in these negative and very difficult defensive structures to break down. For myself, I don't even know how to really feel about this, you guys, because on paper, I think we got the qualities to beat Benfica, but it's the form we're in right now. That puts all the expectations out the window, because with our current form, it means that there's negativity, there's a lack of confidence. You're seeing it with certain decisions. I think the famous one we've seen recently, Malo Gusto, and that terrible 0 IQ decision when he's released from the counter-attack to do a Ronaldo drop inside and ruin any move for us. For me, that communicates a lack of confidence in the team right now. And that's something that we need to try and find against Mourinho. Probably the perfect perfect team for us to play against to bring that confidence back, because Benfica, they're going to come to play defensive. They're going to come to stifle us and to annoy us and to frustrate us. That's what they're here to do. Obviously, the good feel vibe factor now, that's not going to last for too long, but they're going to come with a game plan to try and disrupt us as well in the CL. And we're going to have to stop that, you guys. We're really going to have to stop that right now. In terms of what I'm expecting from the lineup, I'm going to get into that very briefly. But Benfica got some talents for us to focus on. I'm looking at Silva. Let's cast an eye on this guy. We'll be back in the market to sign a defender in some capacity. Let's see what he does. They signed Richard Rios. I thought the guy looked quite impressive whilst at Palmeiras. Luka Bacchio has been quite a good player for them. Sudakov, long-term target from Shakhtar. He's doing this thing now in the Portuguese league. And Pavlidis is a very powerful, hungry, energetic forward, but the ball isn't bouncing off him. He'll cause us problems. And for me, we've been showing a little bit of weakness against players that have that physical edge against us. So we got to respect the threat from Benfica tomorrow. It's going to be hard, and they're going to disrupt us with what I'm expecting them to use, a 5-4-1 structure off the ball. And that's been our Achilles heel for so long, bro. It's been our Achilles heel for too long. And I'm unsure what solutions we find against that. But regardless, my friends, it's a big moment for us to get our first win in the Champions League. We can't let this opportunity slip. We're going to have to get something because we have a massive game this weekend against Liverpool. And we're going to have to be confident. We need to come ready for that game. I imagine in our lineup, we're going to see a few changes made here and there. I think we'll see a lot of substitutions made in the second half. That's what I'm predicting for this game. But with what we have, this is the level that we sign up to. This is why we fought for Champions League football last season. Yeah, we need to show we are good enough. That's the test we need to see. Can we achieve and perform midweek and on the weekends? It's been the first time that these guys have been asked with doing that. We're going to learn a lot about them, and getting something at home against Mourinho, getting our first 3 points in the CL campaign can take us a long way. So my friends, I'm going to tell you guys my predicted lineup. I'm going to give you my prediction at the end as well too. So I hope you guys enjoy, share your thoughts and opinions on the game. And now let me discuss my predicted lineup. Yeah, that really glitched then. Apologies for that. But you guys have seen my lineup on screen. We need to compete. I know that we need to rest certain players. We have Liverpool coming up, but we have Champions League. We need to get a point. Imagine how you guys would feel watching this if we lost 2 games on the bounce as we return back to the seal. That's going to ruin our confidence. We have Barca coming up. We have Napoli coming up. We have big tests coming up. This is not going to be easy. So for myself, this is probably the lineup I'm going for at the moment. I'll start up front, work my way down. Joao Pedro is the only striker. If we can use him for 45 minutes, we're going to have to. It really is that simple. We'll have to. Maybe you can get like an early training session off where you can kind of rest for Liverpool. But I am not using Mark Gu. I just feel like the game is too big. We need the 3 points. He can maybe come on as a sub, potentially. And Tyreek George, I think he is better where Boanorte is. Every time he scored for us or got us back in the game, it's come from not leading the line. He is not that type of striker, and I feel for the kid. But for those reasons, he doesn't offer much up front, especially with the movements that you need. So I can't afford to risk him. For me, it's Joao Pedro. He has to start. Hopefully he stays fit. And hopefully we have something in that first half to give this guy rest in the second half. On the wings, Esteval right side, Garnacho on the left-hand side. For me, this has to be what we do with the attack tomorrow. I think Garnacho is raring to go. The only concern I have is maybe his defensive aptitude. I think it's been one of the reasons why Amorim wasn't too keen on him in the end. He is someone that ball watches quite a lot. He's not constantly reading the game. He's not that type of player. Garnacho is in the mold of the match winner who wins you the game for what he's contributing in the opposition net, not for how he's preventing goals. But there's a lot of hope around this guy. The directors love him. We did so much work to secure him in the end. So we're going to have to see opportunities given. And I think a Champions League return, playing on the left-hand sides, let's see what Garnacho can do. He'll be hungry. And he'll be thinking, I want to be in this team for Liverpool. I want to make sure I'm against Liverpool on the weekend. So if there's a moment for Garnacho to do something. Because for me, I don't want to see Neto. I'd rather maybe rest him for Liverpool if I have to. But I've not been inspired by Neto. I think I've been a bit frustrated by his dribbling. He's not really getting past his man. And when he does, he's playing passes backwards. His crossing is all he kind of has right now. He's a bit too one-dimensional with what he does. And it's a constant reminder when you sign certain players from, like lesser clubs, they're used to different conditions. At Wolves, tons of space in the counter, one of the best counter-attacking wingers in the league. But when the spaces are restricted, the game's different. And listen, I respect he doesn't have an Osimhen or someone up front where he'd be taking advantage of those crosses, you feel me? But at the moment, I think we need more of a penetrative, carrying threat that is going to take on their man more consistently. That's going to force those Benfica players to step out of position to engage. This is why I'm going for Garnacho and Esteval down either flank. And to complement the attack, it's going to be Boanorte. Of course, he wasn't able to play against Brighton because of the super loan rules, which I don't agree with. He looks promising against Lincoln City. I mean, that goal he scored, the first touch that he received from Tyreek George to set himself up, how he carried through the heart of Lincoln, the 1-2 and that delicate finish in the end. You can see why he's been impressing, man, in the training sessions and behind the scenes from how he's approaching the movement. I think for Boanorte, if he wants to make sure he's here next season, every game is a final for this guy. And he's showing some interesting things right now. I said we needed that threat that can carry the ball. I think he's very young, of course. At Leicester City, he was the squad guy. He wasn't playing week in, week out, even though he found himself more in contention near the end. But he does have something to him. And I've got a degree of positivity around this kid. I'm in a position where I want to continue to be surprised by him. So I think tomorrow he has to play because we need that quality between the lines. And I just hope that I see a Boanorte that is going to be more fearless. Trust your technique, carry it, make things happen more. Be that option more between the lines. Yeah, that's what you can do. And that's what I want to see him bring. And hopefully we have, a pretty energetic young attack that wants to take this opportunity against Benfica tomorrow. In midfield, this is where the risks start to come in, bro. Lavia. I'm only going for him because the end of the game against Brighton. But I just think Enzo is the guy's been playing week in, week out. He must be in the red zone right now. Give this guy a little bit of a break. I don't think he has to start tomorrow. Let him get ready for Liverpool. This is where Maresca needs to continue to show a little bit of, positivity. He needs to show a little bit of bravery in these moments, because you need to think about the next few games ahead of you, not just one game at a time. Because if something happens in one game and we're screwed for the next, that's going to hurt us more in the long term. And I do think against Benfica, this is where we need to trust the quality we have a little bit, even though there are some question marks, especially around Lavia's fitness levels at the moment. So I think Lavia alongside Caicedo to start, and I'm expecting Santos to have an introduction in the second half. And the defense, I guess I'm going for a repeat. Only Reece James rests for the Liverpool game. Gusto, I feel for Gusto. He's not been great, but he is not a utility player. You're seeing him on the left side as a winger, inverted, in the attacking mid positions that is not his game. He's a touchline overlapping fullback. I guarantee at any other club he's at, you guys will be changing your tune around him. He's not a bad player because he can't do 5 roles. He wasn't signed to do this. Let's keep it real. He was not signed to do that. He only plays these roles because it's obvious that he has talent, and Maresca's trying to force that talent into the team for the sake of it. But hopefully, I'm going to see more of a classic back three. Cucurella on the left, Hatsu in the middle, Chalobah on the right-hand side, and maybe Gusto overlapping, which we have seen at times already. Let's not forget that game against Paris Saint-Germain. Let Estevao have the license to move in an attacking mid position, but he's coming inside with Gusto overlapping. It frustrates me that we don't see that enough, especially when in most games it feels like it's the most obvious thing that could really give us a new dimension to break teams down with. But that is my lineup to start the game tomorrow. Share your thoughts and opinions in regards to how you're feeling on things, my friends. But I want to end things very quickly on one of the interesting discussions in Enzo Maresca's pre-match press conference. And Maresca, credit to him. He revealed that, yes, he did make some mistakes when we were down to 10 men. I like that. And I was saying in my reviews and stuff afterwards that Maresca's still a very young manager that needs to learn from these moments. It's not been very often that he's been in a moment where he's had to prepare for 10 men. And I think that's why you've seen certain mistakes in his game. But here, as he says, how do you coach avoiding red cards? First of all, for sure, I think after reviewing the last 2 games, United, Brighton, I could have done better probably in terms of my decisions, no doubt. But also for me, it's like a learning process to play with 10 players, because I think for any manager, it is not something normal. Obviously, in the last 6 months, we've lost 5 games. Perspective, Newcastle, Flamenco, United and Brighton were all games in which we went down to 10 men. So it's a pattern that Maresca is struggling to find the right conditions to get us to compete. The only game we've lost 11 versus 11 was Bayern Munich in 6 months. So let's not get too crazy with things at the moment, right? If you lost 5-6 games, yep. I think compared to last season, we have improved. The players can play games. They have more experience. Me as a manager, I think I feel better than last year, which is good. But at the same time, of course, focusing on this point, it's a learning process to play with 10 players. And I definitely think that he kind of showed his hands, and you could see that he made mistakes because he was very reactive with his decisions. I mean, look at the things like Tosin being that late decision to come on as a double sub for Neto. That was Maresca thinking, crap, Sechko is winning headers. He can't do that again. I guess I need to bring someone on. But that ruined our attack. Same thing against Brighton, where he reacted too much to Minter moving to the left-hand side and having Malo Gusto coming on to fight him. You just ruined us having any outlet in which to take advantage of the spaces that Brighton would leave him behind against a slow defense if they're pushing their wingers up. That's how I'm seeing things. But listen, Maresca's still young. He's shown a lot of talent in what he's doing. And I'm going to have some grace for my manager. I really am. So that's the interesting stuff, my friends. And to end things, With the match prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. A 2-1 win to us. I'm not expecting miracles. I just want a competent performance, and I want us to be prepared for the game against Liverpool. Just, a 1-0, but I think probably 2-1 win for us, which would definitely do some good for our confidence right now. So my friends, share your thoughts and opinions on the preview and your lineup, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow on match day. Love. Cool.